Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pacific Northwest Whiskey Society. I'm Jason,
I'm Grady.
and I've got a special for you today. I'm actually going to be interviewing Grady, as we have done with a couple of people, and will continue to do with more so. And by the way, bonus, you're welcome for the backdrop. I know.
You didn't ask for it, but we gave it to you anyways.
That's correct. So, all right. So you guys know us both if you've been watching the podcast, but this is my very good friend Grady. And Grady, why don't you start by letting everybody know how we met and what started you on your whiskey journey?
Yeah. So we met in kind of I guess it's pretty traditional bourbon way these days. But I met Jason at a bourbon or at a spirits store some spirits store that he definitely doesn't know or work at or anything. Anyways, he is still working there. Was working there at the time. This was probably about 5 years ago or so. And I was kind of your traditional 22, 23-year-old that said, hey, I've been drinking, Jameson, Makers, kind of all your typical bottom shelfers. And I was ready for something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I was looking at scotches, and I was kind of interested in the 12-year Belvini, 12-year Doublewood. And so Jason kind of sent me down the scotch path because I said, I've tried scotch, I've tried single malt Irish. It just, I don't know. When I think of scotch, I think of peaty and stuff.
Right.
So,
a lot of people do.
Started with scotch, started with the Speyside, really fell in love with Speyside. And then I'm like, all right, I kind of need something a little bit different. So I really delved into the Japanese single malts.
Right.
Really explored all the Suntory stuff, learned that Suntory Toki is, and then tried all the different Shin products. If you're in Japanese and you haven't tried the Shin, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then got into Ohishi, and then tried Yamazaki 12, and then that's when the chase for more Yamazaki 12 began. Waited and held out for that, and then I was like, all right, I kind of feel like I've explored single malt, so I tried an Indian single malt. I went into the Paul John. I tried I think it's Rampur. I've kind of went into the worldly, went into Taiwanese and Kavalan, and then I was like, all right, I've tried that. Let's try bourbon. Let's get into what it's really about. I started with Leopold Bros.
Okay. Colorado.
Yep, Colorado, and that was pretty interesting. But I'm like, all right, what's a little bit more complex? So went down that route, found that Blanton's was really boring, and then got a Weller 107. I was like, all right, this is really cool. That's when the whole chase really began. So right now, I'd say I'm one of the pickiest bourbon drinkers in the area. I really know what I like, and I'm not afraid to say what I don't like.
Well, and speaking of bourbon, let's segue into what is your favorite or maybe the best bourbon you've ever tried, and why is it George T. Staggs?
All right, so favorite bourbon I ever tried, that's a hard one, and I think that should be for most bourbon enthusiasts and drinkers.
100%.
Unfortunately, unlike Jason, it's not George T. Stagg. But similar to Jason, my favorite whiskey that I've ever tried is maybe not the best whiskey that I've ever tried because it's tied to a memory. And my favorite is the 2016 WLW, William LaRue Weller. Not because I really don't think that it's the best thing I've ever tried. It's pretty spicy. It's pretty complex. I tried it in a rocks glass, but it was on my birthday at the top of a tower, the Smith Tower.
Smith Tower, okay.
Yeah, in Seattle.
Yeah.
And it was super incredible. And it got me a good buzz, I'll tell you that. But I don't think it's the best thing that I've ever tried because I don't think that we have tried the best thing that we've ever tried.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you know it, I guess.
No, so, that's fair.
But yeah, how did that get me to what we're drinking today? I've met a lot of people on this whiskey journey, and I think that I've been able to try a lot of different things, and I've kind of learned that barrel picks and store picks are kind of the way for me. Yeah. I feel like someone has tried it and tested it and said that this is the best. And so today we are drinking a Sazerac product, the 1792 Full Proof Green Dragon Pick.
Woo!
Oh, wow.
Almost
a party foul. So this is a Green Dragon Pick, group out of Tigard. They won the Sazerac barrel drawing, and so they were fortunate enough to be able to go to Buffalo Trace and the Sazerac 1792 whole conglomerate, and they handpicked this. And I want to give a special shout out to a very awesome individual in the Pacific Northwest whiskey scene, Bill Terrell.
Hey, Bill.
He invited me to this group, and he kind of opened my mind up to stuff outside of BTEC, outside of Weller, the Lucky Seven, the NBCs, all the different store picks, and how there's so many other things out there that are just as complex, maybe even better than things that we would call unicorns.
Sure. Well, while we're enjoying this tasty pour, I'm going to pose you a question that maybe no one's ever asked you before.
Okay.
So go ahead and take your first sip. If you could do any job in the whiskey industry, what would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. Good question. I think that it would have to do something with working with the public.
Okay.
Because for me, I'm a people person.
Yeah.
And I feel like in order to have a successful distillery or business or marketing scheme or whatever it is, I feel like you have to be involved in working with your direct customer.
100%.
And we see a lot of brands on the shelf. And why are some more successful than the others? I mean, yeah, the quality of their product, of course, but I think the quality of their product is where it is because they listen to their customer.
One would hope.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I see myself doing something like barrel pick opportunities with local groups and helping the bourbon community out in some type of way, because I'm a people person and I love to help.
So this is fun because I had to think for at least 15 minutes about trying to ask a question to Grady. We know each other pretty well, that might make him think a little bit, which that worked. But I thought that I would know the answer to that question. Mm-hmm. And it's a little different. I think it's kind of in the same vein, but I would have sworn that you would have said whiskey blender. Because I know you like to play around with blending at the end of the night.
I do definitely like to do that. I don't know. I see the opportunity being a little bit like Aaron from Smoke Wagon. You know, he meets a lot with groups and people who drink their product, and he also gets to blend and do all the stuff. So
that's fair.
Yeah, kind of a jack of all trades, maybe.
Yeah. All right. So last question, and then we'll cheers us out. And we ask this to everybody. Grady, is there one bottle that if you haven't gotten your hands on yet that you would consider a unicorn that you'd really like to have in your collection?
I think the chase will forever continue on, because once you get that unicorn bottle, then you're always looking for something else.
There's a new unicorn.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's got to be that 2016 WLW.
Okay.
Because it goes back to that memory. Yeah. It goes back to, that was the first BTAC I ever tried.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that memory and that moment on that day.
Ironic that you say that, because obviously for me it's the 2017 GTS that was my memory related.
Yeah.
And it's why I definitely have a soft spot. But anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the unicorn bottle for me, how about this? The unicorn bottle for me would be me being able to fly cross country to Kentucky and being able to pick a barrel at a Kentucky distillery and having the opportunity to hand pick my choice at my favorite barrel. That would be the unicorn opportunity that would present itself to the unicorn bottle.
Who loves bourbon and gets to pick his own barrel? This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Hey, listen, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Pacific Northwest Whiskey Society once again. My special guest, Grady.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us and sharing this. By the way, this is stellar.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Maybe next week or in the coming weeks, I will get to interview you, my friend.
Whoa.
What an opportunity.
What if I get nervous on camera?
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Cheers, everyone.
All right, guys. See you next week. Thank you.